I want to thank all of you for being here today. I want to start with that. I want to thank the region, the councils, all of you that have been involved. Shelley, for your leadership, the whole group. Bob, thank you for your leadership. This is obviously something we're trying for the first time, and I know we'll learn a lot from this, but I really, so you understand a little bit of context on this, I think most of you know they've had council to campus for some time, and the conversation was really around, is there a better way to do it, because there's costs involved and time away from home and trying to make it more accessible. And it really lives out the idea of extension when you bring the campus out to the people. And so if you think about it, hopefully you'll give some good input of how this can be improved as others consider this in the future. So I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank HC this morning as he kicked us off. Thank you, HC, for what you did. I will tell you that I think this idea that HC has about really identifying someone to be the carrot rep on each council has a lot of merit. When you think about the opportunity for every county in the state of Missouri to have a linkage with a federal representative that represents your area, and for you to host farm tours and those kind of things, Paul, like they do in your part of the world in Jefferson County. Did I get that right? I'm remembering now, see? Being able to do that, though, if you think about that, knowing that you're the go-to, and that they know within that county you're the go-to for a farm tour or seeing 4-H or seeing any kind of thing that might relate to the University of Missouri, what a powerful thing that is. So there's just a lot of opportunity. You all already know that we're doing the thing with the athletics. Somebody mentioned that a couple times here today. I couldn't ask for a better friend and colleague than Jim Sturk, who walks all over the state now talking about extension. I will tell you, I think that's pretty phenomenal. But the thing I want you to also know is he's not the only one. We got a chancellor who's talking about it all the time. We got a president of the university system who's talking about it all the time. And when all that happens, and this is something I think a lot of people here, Ed and others, wanted to see happen, as we talked in the hallway this morning, what it means is you're now public and everybody knows you. So as we go through this together, as we begin to talk about this overview I'm going to give you in a few minutes, it's really important to know that it's one thing to want that visibility, it's another thing to get that visibility, and then it's a third thing to live in that visibility. And when you have to live in it, and that's where we want to be in terms of extension and engagement, it's really important that we deliver on the promise, that we deliver on the campus, that it's delivered in the county, it's delivered in the region, wherever we are and wherever we touch people, we need to remember that. From where I sit, I see the campus as the state of Missouri. That is my campus. And so I have 114 subsets in that called counties. I have the city of St. Louis. That is the campus for me. And so those of us who work in that space have to think about that every day, and that's a big place. I want you to know also that, and I tell a lot of groups this, and since a lot of you, and this is being also fed out across in other places so it doesn't get missed somewhere, this has been the most affirming and invigorating time of my career. I've never dreamed in my life, and I had a great career at NC State. It was going really, really well and had gone really, really well for a long time, but I never dreamed that I would have the opportunity that I have today and that we'll have in the future to work with such wonderful people. And I have been all over this state. I've been in places that Missourians don't even know exist. And I've been in some of them this week. But I've traveled a lot this week, and actually over the last 6 weeks has been an extraordinary time as we have gone through a planning process, pulled out a lot of ideas, and now we're rolling that out to get another second vetting, and there's going to be another vetting of it, because as I told you when I started, my vision doesn't matter, it's the vision of Missourians that matter. I also told you that we would do this together. I would not do this to you, but it would be with you. And so that is messy, it is hard, it's the hardest way to do this kind of work I do, but it's also the most enriching, and it's also the most valid way to do it. Because when you do it that way, then you truly have 6 million people going with you, and that's important because we want to do things right, what's right for Missouri. And I think if we can keep our focus on that as a land-grant university, we will be nationally and globally known. That will happen. But if we do great teaching, great research, and great extension work as related to Missourians and their needs, all that other stuff's going to happen. It will flow out. So I kind of set myself up with that, because what I'm going to do over the next few minutes is give you an update of where we are. Some of you have seen some of this because you tie in different ways. You've seen it on a telecast. or you've seen it on a webinar, or you've seen me live somewhere. So if it's repeated, just hold me accountable that I'm saying the same thing everywhere, okay? And I'll try to do my best. So we've done this needs assessment, and I think y'all all know that. The needs assessment was basically an opportunity for us to really go out across the state. Started last year. When I got here, I traveled all over the place for a few months. Then we began the process of really looking at qualitatively, quantitatively, and third-party review, really trying to dig in and see what was going on in the state of Missouri. It was not about what Extension needed to be doing. It was not really about what the university needed to be doing. It was, tell me what Missourians are thinking about. And that's a big, big amount of information, because from that we can distill down what we need to be doing. But you got to figure out what everybody thinks. And one of the things that caused some people some heartburn when I've announced this was they figured out real quickly that I wasn't just going to talk to the people who knew us. I was going to talk to people who didn't know anything about us in Missouri, because that gives you a richer trove of information. Now, naturally, all those that know us are included in that, but there's a lot of people in Missouri who we don't touch in different areas, and I wanted to know why. Why don't you know who we are? Why aren't we touching you? And you have to learn their ideas too. So this process has now been completed, and we're now shifting to something really called All Things Missouri. You'll see us start using that from building our future together to All Things Missouri. You're going to see a pivot to begin using that kind of terminology. When you go out across the state, you see a lot of data, and you look at this funnel going up, you can see there's a ton of stuff. One of the things we learned about Missourians is there's a lot of discussion in this state about roads. A lot of discussion. Some people want their road paved. Some people want it repaved. Some people don't want their road paved. They want gravel, new gravel on their gravel road. I understand. Hey, it's fine. I learned a lot about that. But when all that goes through, my point is there's a lot of stuff that we learned about we don't do. But we still need to know about it. Because as a public entity, and particularly Land-Grant University, you need to know what's on people's minds. So what we did is we've got this huge amount of information. Imagine all these ideas up there at the top, and then it begins to look like this. So what we have to do is figure out what is our area of expertise. So there are some things that we own, and you can see a bullseye there. There are some things with which we partner, and then there are some things, if you look at that other circle there, with which we support, and then there's some stuff we just don't get in the middle of because it's just not us. But it matters to Missourians, so we do need to know about it. And we need to be conversant about it, and certainly our field people need to be able to understand it, because they may be able to route somebody to the right agency or whatever. So it's important for you to know it. So what's happened with all this is we probably know, MU Extension, University of Missouri, our part in that, we probably know about as much about Missouri right now as anybody. And that's a pretty good place to be. We've had groups come to us in the last few months, want to know about our process, other agencies, and they say, well, can we see what you learned? I said, yeah, it's yours. It's public. So we're giving it away. And it's really a cool thing when you get to the point that you know that amount of information, that other groups now want to look at your information so they don't have to repeat the process. Because I've already asked the people, why repeat the process? So this is an important graphic, because when people see all those ideas, they think, how are they going to get all that done? Well, we're not going to get it all done. It's not our job. Our job is to focus on number one, what we own, number two, where we can partner, number three, where we can support. And that's where we're going to sit as we go forward. So top 3 issues in the state of Missouri. These are not unique to Missouri, but you have to have it validated. If you were to go to my home state, my former home state, I guess I should say now, of North Carolina, I could tell you these are the top 3 issues in the state of North Carolina. I can take you to Texas, you're going to find the same 3 issues. I can take you probably about anywhere. And now people may put them in different buckets, they may call them different things, but when you look at all the data and all the information, it really breaks down to the economy, education, health. It is why when you hear political leaders running for office, what will they talk about? Jobs, education, and health. That's why, because it validates what people are thinking about. It's a validation of what people are thinking about. People think about their jobs, they think about their education, they think about health care and those kind of things. So this is what's really on their minds. It's what they're thinking about every day. One thing that ties these 3 issues together is broadband. You can look across the state, and as you well know, there are broadband deserts in the state, areas where they have limited or no access to broadband. You will typically find the economy's weaker there. You'll also find weaker schools. You'll find weaker healthcare access. If you find broadband, you will find those things strengthen up to some degree. You'll also find typically that if you have a strong economy, the schools are better and there's better healthcare. Because where there's great healthcare, you're going to find typically there's a stronger economy, stronger schools. To me, these 3 things always thread together. And so this is what, again, a very 30,000 foot view people are thinking about. Then we begin to look at the University of Missouri, and there's really 5 areas that come out of that to me. And these are the things that I've shared with our senior leadership above me, not only the system, but also in terms of the campus, of the Columbia campus. What are the things we could really be involved in? Well, obviously we're involved in economic development or economic growth because we do a lot of research, just like you heard. That's economic research in the beef industry to drive that industry, and that's why that industry is so strong here. We've had great people like this working in that field. So economics are going to be big. A second area is going to be big is competitive workforce. We have great undergraduate, graduate programs. Those young people are pipelining into the industries that they choose. So we're going to be in that business as an institution. You have to think about that. Promoting healthcare quality, access, and nutrition. We've got MU Health. We've got College of Medicine. We're highly thought of in nursing, #1 nursing school in the country. We've got some phenomenal stuff in health-related care. Again, that's an area we can really grow in. You'll notice another one that'll be near and dear to some of you in this room, food and agriculture. There's no doubt we got one of the top groups of animal health, animal scientists in the world at Mizzou. We got one of the top groups of plant scientists in the world. Very few universities in the world have as highly rated in terms of research, bringing in research and the research output that we have in terms of plant and animals as anybody in the country. We have extraordinary. We're in top 10 or 12 in both of those categories in most lists. That's unheard of. And that's something a lot of people don't know. So these guys are doing a great job. We can do better though. And the food system's important because, and I stop there because as you know, it's an $88 billion business in this state. That number can go to $100 billion, $110 billion if we figure out how to do value-added agriculture better. There's a lot of stuff we produce that goes somewhere else to be processed, and we all know that's where the value is. So we got other states benefiting from what we grow. So there's going to be a lot of discussion, I think, around this issue of value-added agriculture. And I know this is true, in particular in rural communities where they lost the shoe factory, they lost the glove factory, they lost 20, 25 years ago, and nothing came back, so now they have less than 3,000 people in the county. Value-added agriculture can be one of those things, if you have broadband, that you can connect the dots and actually grow new industries. There's ways to do that. And so you're going to see probably a lot of effort on that. If I got a predictor, I would say that's something I'd bet on strong. Stewarding the natural resources and environment. This place in Missouri believes in natural resources. The state park, when y'all do that tax every 10 years, you know, to support tax and the other land issues, it's the only thing in Missouri that everybody wants to be taxed on. 114 counties passed that this year. It's an incredible thing. It's a coalition of right and left-leaning groups coming together on one thing because they value their natural resources. It shows that in the data too, as we talk to people, they care about that. So again, the university could be a partner in that. Again, thinking about the broad university. Now let me bring it down to where we live in MU Extension. These are the 4 areas that you're going to see us really stand strong in going forward because again, it's our sweet spot. When you think about MU Extension specifically, we have strength in agriculture and food. We have strength in youth and families. We have strength in businesses and communities. And we have strength in health and safety. Now let me back those up and talk about those for a second. Agriculture and environment. You know we've got strength there. That's probably one of the things we're really known for. And again, it ties back to the industry. We've got great commodity organizations. We've got phenomenal Cattlemen's Association. You got a great soybean group here. You got a great corn growers group. You got a great dairy group. I mean, it goes on and on swine producers. So agriculture is going to be one of our real strengths as we go forward. And again, it's not because maybe that was my favorite, but that's what the data shows, that we need to be strong in that. See, again, people would say, well, didn't you know that before? Probably did, but now I got something to back it up. It's not me just thinking it. I can walk forward with some confidence and say, yeah, I know it. Second one is youth and families. We've got great 4-H programs. We've got great family, nutrition, human development programs. I will tell you in that area, we're consolidating that together in terms of its academic home. Right now we have a 4-H center and we have also Human and Environmental Sciences College over here. I'm bringing those together under the umbrella of HES, Human Environmental Sciences, because 4-H youth development is a human development science. It makes sense, it gives an academic home, it also gives it a root in terms of research that'll really grow it. It will not take away from 4-H. If anything, it's going to grow 4-H because it gives 4-H that home it needs. In businesses and communities, if you look at a lot of the great stuff you saw these guys present on today, a lot of their data that they talked about was really economic development. They talk about what makes a difference, and they come at it from a slant of community development. If you look at business development, we've had a great group in that over the years, done some great work. By bringing those two forces together, we think we can actually lift business, economic development, community development in a different way. So you're going to see an alignment there like you haven't seen in the past. One of the other neat things about this is business development historically has been in the College of Engineering and the College of Business a little bit at Mizzou. Now it will also have a leg in CAFNR, the College of Agriculture and Food and Natural Resources, because that's where community development is. So now we're going to have an interdisciplinary approach to businesses and communities, which is really good anytime you can do that on campus. The last area is something kind of new and novel we're going to really get into. We believe that there's a real opportunity for us to deal with this health and health access issue in the state. We have tremendous telemedicine capacities in this state, and we have a program called ECHO, which is a program that the healthcare system does with doctors around the state to really drive out innovation and deal with diagnoses around the state. We think there's a real way for us to be transformative in extension health. And so you're going to see us begin to dabble in this one and move that needle on this one. And I think this is one that really matters to Missourians. When you go back and think about the economy, education, health, this is one that we know we can stand on. It also ties closely to food and agriculture, because we know food, agriculture, and health, that's a nexus when you bring it together, and it can give us a lot of strength. So this is where you're going to see us point toward as we go forward. Now, if you want to see all the data and background on this, you're thinking, oh, that's a website and that's a long one. I'm going to tell you the easy way to find it. Go to the MU Extension website, MU Extension. Go to the left side of the page, you'll see Meet Our Leadership, a little logo there, and when you click that, and don't get scared, but when you click it, my picture is going to come up. Don't get nervous. You scroll down to the bottom of that, you'll see Building Our Futures Together. You click on that, it's all there. All the data, all the quantitative, qualitative, everything's there. And we're encouraging people to go and look at that, because that can be very educational to you as council members. This is a way for you to really understand even your community. Some of it's broken down by the areas. For instance, we have maybe had a listening session here or wherever. You can see what people thought there. It'll break it out for you. So that might be very helpful to you, because as you do planning in areas of the state, that can be a helpful tool for you. So we want you to find this. You can dig deeper and get into that. And that's something I think is important for you as council members in particular. You need to be really well educated about issues, because that helps you inform us better about how we need to respond to what you're doing. I'm not saying you're not doing that, but that's something we need to really think about, how you can advise, counsel, and guide us. Now, let's talk about the third-party review here for a minute. I mentioned that earlier. I didn't get into it deeply, but I want you to see this number. This is a really important number to me. We spend, as you saw, I don't know why that arrow is sitting there like that, Rob, but anyway, you notice this number I said earlier, 84 million?
The other number should be up, though.
Yeah. Well, it should be down.
How you
80,
get it down, it's coming down.
84 million results in 94.5. So it's this number here, 84 to 945. I want you to remember that those two numbers. Don't remember anything else about what I say today, because that's important. It's the first time in the state of Missouri we've had the number that says this is what our value is. And it's a number that's important. Now we're going to begin, as I shared with some folks individually, our hope is over time to break that down by county. Because I'd love to have it someday where you as a county council member and you as one of our regional faculty members could really look at that and say, well, this is what it means in our county. This is how it breaks down here. This is the value we bring here. We're going to begin to do some of that over the next few years. It's going to take me a little time. Only been here a year. We've got a lot done. We've got a lot more to go. But I want you to know 945 is a really important number. I love it when the newspaper gets something that's in my advantage. And when the Tribune reported this, they said almost $1 billion. I loved it when they said that. Almost $1 billion. I'll take it. I'm glad the number's not $1 billion, because it gives me something to shoot for, but I loved it when they said that, because that was actually a very positive thing. So again, remembering that this is an important number that we want to go for. So what are the challenges I face? I face these things. Number one, people want more. That's the first line up there. And they don't want to give me as much money to do it with. Sound familiar? I doubt that's going to change. So what I've had to do is think about, how do I comfort people as council members and as field faculty and campus faculty? How can I bring them at least some sense of this is how he thinks, and if we know how he thinks, we kind of can predict what he's going to decide. Well, I think the biggest example of that so far in my time here, a little over a year now, has been that we were faced with a $3.1 million cut. And that was hard. because that 3.1 million had to come out of this 26 million. I couldn't touch this, I couldn't touch this, I didn't touch any of my grants contracts. It was all right here. So how do you deal with that? So I really, obviously, as you might imagine, wrestled with that, because that was not something I'd hoped for. I thought Missouri might give me a break and not have to face a budget cut my first year here. I'd had 22 straight years of budget cuts at NC State University. I thought, surely they'll give me 1 year off at Missouri. No, you hit me with as big a one, not the biggest, but as big a one as I'd ever had. So I had to really sit down and think about, what could I say to folks to at least give them a signal as to how he thinks? Because I think even if I can't tell you what I'm going to decide, if you know how I think, you can almost predict ahead. And I think that's pretty healthy, and it brings a lot of calmness to a system. So this is the Stewart process. I put people first. Now you might say, you put people first, but you laid off people. Well, I did, but I didn't lay off any faculty, field or campus faculty. And the reason I didn't is because of number 2, I uphold the land grant mission. And the reason the way I show you that is number 3, I protect knowledge creation and knowledge application. I protect those 2 things as much as I can. Now, I can't promise you if we get hit again, I'll have to go there. But I also want to take you back to people first, because even those people that we had to release, all of those people who wanted to be reemployed, a few decided to retire because they had the years in it, could do it, or move elsewhere. But those who remain in Columbia and that have chosen to be there, we have helped them get jobs in other places. Most of them are making more money with somebody else than they were with me anyway. So I want you to know we've really worked hard on that. That's a value we have. That's not easy, but that's a value. And that was the first thing. We also gave those folks, we laid them off, actually gave them the news 1st of June. We gave them all the way to the end of August in terms of their term with us. Other units on campus gave from 2 weeks to less than a month. We were the only campus group that gave 3 months. I think it's extraordinary, and it is something I value, but it's something we value. So it's a we about that, and I want you to know that. That's important for you to understand. I'm not going to tell you I won't have to do it again, because you're my job, that's part of the job, but I want you to know how we think through this. The 4th thing is we do put Missouri first. In all of my decision making, I'm thinking about Missouri, because again, my vision doesn't matter, it's what Missourians want. I'm always focused on what Missourians are trying to think about, and I'm trying to stay right with that, because you stay close to your clientele and understand that, then they'll protect you. I tell people that, if we take care of Missourians, Missourians will take care of us. If we don't take care of Missourians, Missourians will take care of us. And we won't like the way they took care of us, kind of thing. So my point is, I try to stay pretty close with my clientele. And that's why some of you look at me some days and you say, boy, you look tired. Well, I am tired because I've been in places you haven't ever been before. But the point is, in Missouri. But the thing is, in doing that, I'm staying really close in context with our people and really trying to understand it. And we all know that Missouri is a state of many states. And it depends on where you are, how it is. And y'all know that. You're sitting in a room with people from different parts of the state, and we all know it's a state of states. And you have to kind of figure out how to do that. And what I find fascinating, though, is I can be in the deepest, most rural parts of the state and share the same message that I do in the most affluent urban areas of Missouri. Now, I may say some things differently so it's understood by those audiences in their context, by where they live, but the message is the same. And they all want to be served well by the University of Missouri. That doesn't change. So, exciting stuff for me. Now, what are Missourians saying? They're saying they want local touch. They really value that. And that's something that you're going to see us as over the next few months, we're going to be rolling out, actually the next few weeks, we're rolling out a model that will begin to look differently about how we do our business here. I'm not going to tell you it's perfect. It's getting close to where we can share it. But it's going to look different. Right now, we're based on a model that was set up in the 1960s to go regional with all of extension. And I like that model. But you got to remember that model was built when you had almost 500 people in the field. Now you're down to 232 if they're all field on any given day. And typically we have about 210 in position. In other words, we usually run about 22 vacancies at any time with people turning over. So that tells you what we have. What's happening right now, and I found this when I got here obviously, is we have a lot of people that are very tightly pulled between being a county program director and trying to do regional work. And so what it does, it puts stress. If you're doing great regional work, typically maybe you're being stressed and you're not getting the work done you want to get done at the county. If you're doing great county work, you're not getting the regional work done, so you're being pulled. So what we're trying to do is figure out a way, is there a way to pull some of that apart and have county engagement specialists designated to either a county or a couple of counties together. So these people are very county focused, and they'll be specialists specializing in things that deal with those counties, and then have this layer of regional specialists that deal with these broader issues that you're used to, like in livestock or agronomy and those kind of things. So you're going to see us roll out a model like that. One of the things we're going to do is roll it out probably later in the next few weeks. Once we do that, we will roll into our summit meeting with our extension faculty. We will talk about it obviously deeply there. We're going to be working through councils once we get past summit. There'll be a team of about 5 or 6 of us that will travel to every single county in the state of Missouri and meet with every county commissioner group, every county council, and all faculty to work through this, to figure out how it looks. That is going to be an extraordinary 120 days again. Now, I'm telling folks in our office, well, I do it every day. I don't know what's the big deal, but we're going to do that. I will not be in all 114 counties during that because I can't do it in 120 days. If I could, I would. But I'm going to have a team of folks, including me, to go out with regional directors, and we're going to go into every single county. I think it's going to do a couple things. Number one, it's going to be able to share the message and talk about this model. But I think more importantly, it's going to send a signal to the state of Missouri that we're serious, and we're serious enough to come see you. You don't have to come see us. And I think that's going to be a stroke. I'm not sure that's happened here in a very long time. I don't know when it has happened. I can't find people who can tell me it's happened. So we're going to do that. We're also going to be very, very responsive. This is something that I'm very big on, Listening University. We try very hard. We don't always get it right, but I do want people to respond, and I do. If somebody emails me, it doesn't take long to get something back. If it does, that means I'm sick or near death, and hopefully that hasn't happened since I've been here, but try to get back to people. We really do. Be responsive. We also want to be trusted. One thing that MU Extension has in this state that I'm very proud of is we are trusted. There is no doubt there's high trust in MU Extension. That is something that we carry, and actually carry the university on our back someday with that, because we are just so well trusted, and that's something we need to hang on to. And then our engagement. Engagement is really not just about us solving a problem or getting information out. It's about us solving it together. Figuring out how to work with that person in the community to truly build something that's sustainable and bigger than ourselves. So you'll see us talk more about that. A couple things here, and I'm not going to go through all of these, but these are some issues we're dealing with. We're trying to do we've got a proposal right now. We're trying to get it finalized to up the beginning salaries for regional specialists, and also to deal with some compression issues. Even with the budget cuts, we got to do this because we are not being competitive now, and it's not fair to our people. So you're seeing us work on that. We're working on high tech, high touch. There's a lot of content that we still deliver by high touch, which is important, but there's some content we can do by high tech. Agriculture is just one example, but ag has changed dramatically. If you look at the swine industry versus the beef cattle industry, beef cattle is a high touch, swine is high tech. And I mean that because it's an integrated industry in the swine industry versus being many, many producers over on the livestock side. So we're going to be doing some things different there to try to figure that out. Strategic communications, I went through a big sweep when we did our downsizing recently of layoffs. We're down to 6 people in communications now. Their job is to be on strategic communications only. We're going to be outsourcing all of our curriculum work and development work, and we got a new model coming to do that. We just had to make the cut, and I hated it, but it's what we were, where we had to be. We are very interested in doing a Missouri First kind of initiatives around funding for things for the state of Missouri that really matter, that Extension can be a part of. We're also interested in new program alignment, which I've already shared with you. We're looking at how we redesign regional specialist positions to ensure they have time to do partnering, innovation, creativity, do really applied research in the field, which is part of what should be being a good regional person. And a lot of them tell me, and they're in the room, some of them, that they just run out of gas. They just don't have time because of all the other demands. So one of the other things we're doing is we've rolled back, and we're continuing to roll back, and we will continue to roll back a lot of bureaucratic reporting that had been put on folks that had just been growing and growing and growing. There's certain reports we got to have, and we will get that, but we're going to ask for stuff we don't need that goes nowhere. So there's a whole lot of process going on right now to unwind a lot of that. Extension Council legislation. The law that puts Extension Councils in place was established in 1961. It's probably time to take a look at it. and see what we can do to make it better, to modernize it. It's a word that Mark Stewart used recently, and I thought it was a great word. We don't want to upset the apple cart, but we do want to look at it and see if there's some things we can do to make it better. And that's going to be a part of us going out and working with these county councils and having this conversation to say, what could we do to make this better? If we could tweak the law in some way, a lot of folks are interested in helping us. MU and UM engagement, let me say a couple words about that. The University of Missouri, MU, we set up an engagement council back in March. Typically, a council on a campus is basically 12 to 15 people. It's a university committee, and you get a bunch of people that want to talk about Engage University in this case. Well, I decided to do it different. No surprise there, is there? I did it different. I decided to do an open invitation. I invited all the deans and anybody in their colleges that wanted to come. We now have 133 people on the Engagement Council as of yesterday morning. This has been a fascinating journey. I have found out how engaged this campus is, and nobody knows it. And let me give you 2 or 3 quick examples. College of Education has a touch point in every single school district, 524 school districts in the state of Missouri, and we've got College of Education has a grant, professional development activity, or something going on in every school district. College of Arts and Sciences has great STEM education work going on in multiple school districts. 4-H, we all love 4-H. 250, 60,000 kids touched a year, and a lot of that's in STEM education and other things, because agriculture is a STEM discipline. It's one of the science disciplines, agriculture is. So if they're doing ag, they're doing STEM. It's the same, it's ag science. When you look at those 3 things, you would think 4-H being as big as it is at University of Missouri, College of Arts and Sciences being as big as they are, and you would certainly think College of Education being as important as it is, you'd think all that work would be connected. Guess what? Nobody knows it. They're in the same school doing work. So, went to St. Louis. You got an extension building. 2 blocks away, you got an arts and science building. The 2 were virtually not knowing they were working in the same space. I can show you example after example after example where we have found things where people were literally within seeing each other, but they weren't working together. We have now inventoried the entire institution beyond extension to see how much engagement there is. There is a 400 and some entries now into a document that they now refer to as the brick because it's so thick. We have now put that in an online portal. It was premiered yesterday morning. It will go to the faculty by October 1 for them to clean up. And come the first of the year, we're going to turn it external. And you as a constituent in the state of Missouri will be able to go on and query and look at the engagement happening in your community and be able to invite faculty for the first time, real time, to come and do things in your community. It is extraordinary. I never thought I'd be in a place where we could pull it off, and we're almost there. We're getting really close. And it was yesterday I saw it for the first time. It was shared in this council meeting. We're really excited about this because this will move us to being an engaged university. People ask me a lot of times, what made you move from North Carolina to Missouri? Really, it was timing and just opportunity. A lot of things I could talk about there. But one of the biggest things was my title, as it was advertised, says extension and engagement. And it told me they were committed to engaging the full university. And it is our job, and actually Moon Choi has asked us now to work across the UM system. And I'm now going to be working some with St. Louis, Kansas City, and Rolla, those campuses, to talk about how we engage them as well. This could be a moment of sort of a tipping point in a good way for an institution and a system, and we could really set ourselves apart as a new land grant model for the country. So it's exciting, and you ought to feel that. I hope you do feel it. Also say Nexus at Mizzou, which is our online learning platform, will come out later this fall. It's going to be a new way to send out information for us to be able to interact with you, for you to take courses that we offer through Extension Online, those kind of things. There's going to be a lot of digital information there for you, and we're going to be very committed to professional development going forward for our folks as well. This is one of those things that's not showing up right. Top one is agriculture and food. Second one is youth and families. Third is businesses and communities. The next one down is our health area. And then the last one is our conference units. I want you to know that we are very, very committed to this end. This is where we're headed. Yesterday morning, another thing that happened is Susan Reno. Raise your hand, Susan. You've met a lot of people here today. Susan Reno joined the extension team officially yesterday. She's actually been working with us a long time. She actually has been working in something called Broader Impacts in the Office of Research. As of yesterday, we announced a partnership between the Office of Research and MU Extension Engagement. Her office was established originally to bring the broader impact of NSF funding, National Science Foundation funding. What we're going to do now is create this thing called, I think the connector is what it's going to be. And Susan will become the nexus between great research going on the campus and moving it out to the system. And that'll be system-wide across the entire university, as well as her connections with the other system schools. This is the first time that's ever happened. Not only at Mizzou, but anywhere. You can't find that anywhere in America right now. So we're really excited about that. Glad to have you on board with us, Susan. She's been at Mizzou a long time, longer than me. I'm just glad to have her as part of our team now. And so she reports to me and to Mark McIntosh, the Vice Chancellor of Research. And we're really excited about that as a piece of this. As I wrap up today, right on time, let me say this. This has been, again, an extraordinary time for me. We've got a lot of work to do. Our work is way out in front of us. I'll be here for decades doing this work. But I want you to know that we're deeply committed to Missourians. We want to do what's right for the state. We want to do what's best for the state. I have enjoyed it here. People ask me that, what's it like? I was asked earlier by Sherry, asked me, she said, what's it like to move that far away? And it's hard, man, I didn't have anybody out here. Jan and I came out here, and it's like, here we go. It's like settling the West or something for us, Little house on the prairie, here we come. But I will tell you, we have thoroughly enjoyed it, and we're here to stay. We bought a house, built a house actually, and have moved in it as of 5 weeks ago. And so we're here. You can't get rid of me now. I'm stuck. So this is where I intend to make our stand and to really do some cool things. I think one of the reasons that I learned that I'm really at home here, one of the first trips I made was to the Boot Hill Ed, and I got down there, and they had, I had a dinner one night at a John Deere dealership. Now you're going home when you get to the John Deere dealership to have dinner. Had it all cleared out, everything was cleaned out, and they had the tractors in the back, and we're going down the line, and I'm getting my steak, and I'm getting my different sides, my salad, and I look down there, and there's a big bowl of stuff, great big bowl of stuff there, and I'm like, I know what that is. And they're all getting it, and I got up there, and I said, sure enough, it is. I said, that is chicken and pastry. Well, they call it chicken and dumplings, but I call it chicken and pastry. I was so happy. Oh my gosh. I put the steak back, just get the chicken and pastry. Oh my goodness. I love, Missourians love gravy, and you love bacon. I mean, you're my people. I mean, I can deal with this. But I have had the chance, some of you have asked me if I had a lot of fun here. Yeah, I've had a good time. These are all Missouri bass. No, I did not change my shirt every time. These are different bass on different days. It was a lot of fun. But one thing that I want to say to you as I close out is that, and I'll use this as sort of my wrap up. About I guess it was back in December, I was down at the lake at a meeting. I had to go to this area in the west central part of the state called Warsaw and Clinton. And I thought that was kind of interesting because I'm from Sampson County, North Carolina. The county seat of Sampson County is Clinton, North Carolina. Warsaw, North Carolina is 25 miles away. And you tell me those people didn't come out there and settle. They just took the names and just went right on. I got there that night to Warsaw, and of course, I didn't even ask which hotel because I figured there ain't going to be but one hotel. And that was about right. So Cindy had set me up. I get to the hotel, and I walk in, and the lady looks at me, and she says, you must be Mr. Stewart. And I said, well, how do you know that? She said, well, there's nobody else. You're it. Okay. So, and then she, of course, says the thing I get all over this state, you're not from around here, are you? I don't know why you say that. I will say this, the further south they go, the less they say that. The thing they say further south is, are you sure you're from the university? Now, what does that mean? I just let that hang, But the thing was, I was standing with that lady that night. She's doing all the stuff. I look over to my left, and there's a sign there. I look at this sign, and I start laughing. And she looks at me, and she says, you like my sign? I said, I do. And the sign said this, do not clean fish in room. Yeah. I love it. course, we're out there at Truman Lake, right there next door. So I take a picture of this sign. I text that picture to my son. He goes, his text back is, "Dad, where are you?" My son lives in D.C., and I said, "I'm in Warsaw." Wait a second, comes back, "Warsaw, North Carolina?" And I said, "No, Warsaw, Missouri." And his text back was, "These are your people." So I hope that's affirming to you. It certainly is to me. It has been a joy to be here, and we got a lot of work to do, though, and I want to leave you with this. I can't do this by myself, and it's going to take a lot of alliterations. It's going to take a lot of work. We intend to do, if anything we will do, it will be to make us better. It'll be to make us stronger. It'll make us more responsive, to make us what we should be, could be. One of the things that has truly breaks my heart is when I go into a rural community in particular, because rural North Carolina is where I'm from, and I go in and I start talking about stuff across the table from some folks, and I can tell they don't know what good is anymore. They don't know what they should even aspire to be. And it's because it got gone a long time ago. In North Carolina, I saw it when textiles, tobacco, and furniture making went away. It's the same thing here. 25, 30 years ago, that stuff began to move, and nothing came in to replace it. I get that. And it is absolutely our responsibility at the University of Missouri, and I take it personal with me, to bring light to darkness. Where people don't know what they should have, we're going to make sure they do. We know that they have the right questions to ask, and we help them figure out a pathway to prosperity. That is it, to help their lives and their children's lives be better. I want to thank you for being here today. I'm going to hang around if you've got questions. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Yeah. Go ahead.
I got one question.
I'll ask away.
Are you sure you were still in Missouri when you found that place you said we'd never been before? You sure you didn't cross over into Arkansas?
I was not in Arkansas. No, I've seen some cool stuff, and I've stayed at one of my other favorite things, and you'll like this one too, Walter. I was in Cuba, Missouri. Y'all have to help me with the hotel. It's on Highway 66. It's an old classic hotel that has the little brick buildings. I can see it. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, they told me, I was talking to Cindy, and she says, when you get there, they're going to already be closed down. I'm like, closed down? She said, yeah. She said, she said, go to room 8, because there's these little cottages. And she said, the key will be under the door mat. So we drive around, and sure enough, the doormat, and there it is. So I go in. It gets better. I go in. Great little room. Great Wi-Fi. I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought I wouldn't have any Wi-Fi, anything. Great Wi-Fi. I go in there, and I'm telling my wife this, and she's going, they left the key under the door. I mean, Jan grew up just like I did in rural North Carolina, but she's like, really? So anyway, next morning we get up, we got to leave early. We come out, again, Cuba, Missouri. We come out, and I close up, and we drive around to where the little office is, where they're not there yet. So I'm like, what do we do? I left the key under the mat. I get back to the office. Cindy says, "Where's the receipt?" I said, "Cindy, I don't know." She says, "You didn't get a receipt?" She said, "Would you keep the key?" I said, "No, I left it." She said, "You left it on the door?" I said, "Well, that's why they left it for me." So then she said, "What do I?" I said, "Call them." So she calls them up. He said, "Oh, don't worry about it, honey. It's fine. We'll take care of it. We'll send you something. It'll be all taken care of." Who can't like Missouri? It's a great place. So again, I've enjoyed it. Yeah, Walter, I think I have been places you haven't been yet. So take it. But I have enjoyed it. It's been a joy to be with you today. And thank y'all for being here. You've set a great pace for this kind of effort. And again, if you have ideas, I know Shelley, Mark, all the team, we want to know those. And I want to thank again the team that's here. You guys in the Northeast have done a terrific job of putting this together. And thank you. And again, God bless. Thank you.